But Chromatic he's not risky. He's out again. My goodness me, he's not wanting to take any chances. Now, again, we saw it yesterday. Well, we see it fairly constantly where, the later in the session, the greater the risk that if there is a mistake, if you're held up, if there's a yellow flag, your lap is gone and you don't then have a chance to improve. You've lost the time, whereas Crow is just out there, banging the laps in. Now, I wonder if this is a precursor to wet weather, because I think this is the third set of hypersofts he's burnt up, or he just got no confidence on those tires being, a viable race time. And we didn't see. Well, we only really saw Inters and Supersofts run yesterday in race trim, so we don't really know what the drivers are going to be capable of. I think we're facing either a wet start or possibly a complete wet race. We're seeing all the hypersofts. I think Sam LeBear is possibly looking at ultras. Gerrits is on ultras, interestingly. So we're seeing a lot of people burning up the hypers, and a lot of people not staying in the pits for a very long period of time either. So I wonder if we're going to have some wet conditions again.
Yeah, I was wondering that myself. I was wondering if maybe the engineers are coming onto the radio letting people know that there could even indeed be some wet weather coming later on in this session, because that would explain why we're seeing so many people come out and just go straight back out again rather than wait around. Usually, I'd say it's about 3 runs that people do. They go out there, they do a banker, then they do a really fast lap, and then they do a really fast lap where, it's possible that they might make some sort of mistake, something like that. That's where the guys are usually pushing. Praestate are pushing very hard at the exit of turn 9 there, getting very close to the barrier as well. He's going to be getting heavy onto the brakes. He's got some traffic up ahead, but this is actually the best part of the circuit to catch some traffic, because of course he'll pick up a bit of a slipstream effect if he can close in on them. He'll be opening up the DRS right there and getting that drag reduction on the run down towards the final chicane. He's currently sitting in 9th with a 107.732. It's
Crow.
Extremely. Oh God, Crow finds another 0.3 of a second, a 106.6. That is an absolutely terrifying time. Preisnader does not actually improve his lap, or I think he improved his time, but it must have been invalidated because he didn't actually change his position at all. So he's still 9th quickest as we go on board with Hayes. Now, this is the driver that's currently 2nd quickest in the McLaren. He is the person that is by far the closest to Chromatic, but even he is a whopping 0.6 of a second slower than Hayes. Again, just to remind everybody, it was about 1 second separating the majority of the field in yesterday's qualifying, and that was also in dry conditions as well, too. So very similar to what we're seeing here today. So very, very surprising stuff. Less than 5 minutes remaining. The majority of the field is out on circuit. We've got a number of cars in the pits at the moment, probably making some fine-tune adjustments to their setup for that final run, and just trying to hope that they can get it as high up the grid order as they possibly can. Of course, Canada is a circuit that promotes overtaking. It's not like a Monaco type of circuit where it's difficult to get by somebody. But at the same time, it's not exactly the easiest of circuits either. So you really would like to be as far up as you would with any race whatsoever. Hayes, though, in the end comes into the pits. He is not going to continue on for that lap, so he's going to come in and fit one more set and give it one more attempt. Let's have a look at Giglioli as he makes his way down towards the final chicane. I think this might be an in-lap. Are we going to see him coming into the pits? Yes, we are. Indeed, he does come into the pits. So he is not going to be improving on this particular occasion. But with just under 4 minutes remaining, Chris, there is still plenty of time for these guys to get back out there.
Yep, we're getting into the Banzai area now of any last-minute changes they want to do in his do or die from that point onwards. Here is H Eagle, currently 4th with a 107.563. He's 13 thousandths off the back of Marek in 3rd. Didn't actually see Marek's time clock in, so a good effort there for him. That is Mr. Anker. That is a name I am familiar with, and a name you have to be careful when you pronounce it. He is out there in the Force India. He's come out on the Hypers as well. Something that does dawn on me is, like, if we are facing clear weather conditions, Crow may have made his life a little bit harder just burning through these Hypers of tyres, because I'm not expecting them to last too long, maybe 6 or 7 laps or so. But if he's got a problem, if he has a problem like we saw yesterday, okay, that was wet weather yesterday, granted. But yeah, if he has an issue and has to kind of make a bit of a recovery, he could well have made things a bit more difficult for himself. But so many ifs and buts and maybes, we'll have to see what how the cards fall. Now the back four, so Lamp, Sebastian Job, Brownie and Photon all back out on track. Gigliotti, as mentioned, he's come back out again. So now we're starting to get into the Banzai phase. Expect many more people to come out. Oh, there's another one. There's Surprise coming back on track as well. So now the tracks are going to get very, very busy.
Yeah, Sebastian Job just about to start what we would assume is his final run. Of course, you don't want to run 2 fast laps on the same set of tires in qualifying because, again, you will start the race on them. So that's 1 less lap that you would be able to do in the race. And this race is very marginal as far as the one-stop is concerned, with the Hypersofts and the hardest tire being the Supersoft compound. Again, this is F1 2018, which is why we're seeing the Hypersofts and Ultrasofts and all of those instead of just soft, medium, hard, like we're seeing in 2019 of the real-life Formula One. But Sebastian Job, is he on the Ultrasofts now, or is that his fastest lap on the Ultrasofts? But he's definitely going to be looking to improve his position. He's only 16th at the moment with a 108.464. So really not a representative time. I've been following Sebastian Job in his sim racing career for a number of years now, probably close to half a decade actually, from when he's still very young, but from when he was even younger. I guess they're all young compared to us though, Chris.
I was about to say that. Way to make us feel old.
Yeah, but Sebastian Job, he's not going to be satisfied with this 16th position whatsoever. He is absolutely going to want to try and get into the top 10, and he is certainly a driver that is capable of it. I mean, all of these guys are capable. It's whether or not you can put everything together and get that result that you need on the day, and today is the day. He's got just over a minute, and he does shoot up into 7th with a 107.658. That's a very impressive time, and it still says Ultrasoft, I believe, if my old eyes don't deceive me.
Yeah, you're right. That is the tire that he set that time on. He was indeed on Ultras. That's a cracking lap on the Ultrasoft tires. He won't have time to come out again, so he will start no higher than 7th position in the Toro Rosso. Here is Crow. It's out there again? My goodness.
Does he not feel safe?
How many tires do you have, man? I mean, every single lap he's done has been on the Hypersoft tire, so that's going to make his strategy pretty difficult. So either he is... And I know he's good. I've commentated on this man a number of times. But he's going to be under so much pressure when it comes to kind of defending. Now we've just been informed that the race weather is indeed clear. So Crow's going to have a hell of a job defending on potentially very, very knackered tyres. As H Eagles just jumped up to 2nd with a 107.1. And has Crow backed off a little bit? Yes. So Mr. Anchor is retired from the session. He will start no higher than 10th with a 107.6. Fallen Hero, his day is done. 108.0 in 16th. CNS Daya is 11th. Marek will start no higher than 7th. He was 2nd for a while. Photon's just jumped up too. That's 7th position with a 107.4. And now the final runs coming in. Here is Hayes, currently 3rd, 107.2. That's a race against the wall. And that's going to cost him a little bit of momentum. Oh, he's done a 106. Was it valid? No. Oh, it's a shame he bounced off the wall. It invalidated the lap. He would have been 2nd with that. Still no one has come close to Chromatic's absolutely insanely quick time. But still a great effort from Hayes to start on the 2nd row. I would imagine Sebastian. Wow, look at what Sebastian Job's just gone up to.
Oh, he did a 2nd lap.
Yeah, he did. I didn't notice that either.
Didn't expect that.
107.3. Oh, Steve, 107.0 has gone. So we got a Mercedes 2.3. Nice effort there. I mean, they are teammates in aesthetic. They're not technically racing with one another. They may opt to try and help one another, try and catch Crow. Oh, once again, we've got quite a tight field. So with the exception of Crow's really exceptional lap, 14 drivers in the 107s. Nice effort. So, we should be on for, once again, pretty good race.
Yeah, really looking forward to this one. Valache Surprise, again, a driver I also know very well. Normally races on the Xbox platform particularly, but he's up into 6th on the 3rd row of the grid alongside Sebastian Job, actually. But yeah, Chromatic and Steve, definitely the quickest out there today. That's a scary time from Chromatic, to be totally honest. If you're one of his competitors looking at that time, you got to be asking yourself, what in the world can I do with a race that is forecasted to be completely clear as well too? So that's the even scarier part about that lap time from Chromatic. And I mean, it's such a big gap compared to what we saw yesterday, nearly 4/10 of a second. And it's nearly 6/10 of a second down to Hayes. It's actually more than a second between himself and Mr. Anka in 12th position. So yeah, unfortunately, it's not quite as close as we saw yesterday for qualifying, but that is completely down to Chromatic's performance, which is, again, out of this world. That is truly a stellar time from the Renault driver there today. Preisnader, Photon, Merrick, Sam Lebert, they all got into the top 10. Amos Larito will be the leading driver with free choice of tire compound for the race. We will have a formation lap for today's race. We kind of had to get into the race yesterday, so we didn't have that yesterday. So we do have a little bit more time to kind of talk about these guys and their starting positions and whatnot. But I mean, the real question here, Chris, is can anyone stop Chromatic?
Well, it all comes down to how well he can manage the tyres. He's used what we think is 4 sets to do that incredible time. And the sad part is he didn't need to do anything after the second one because no one else got into the 106s. Again, same as we saw yesterday. So that's my concern for our pole man. That is what I think is going to be, if anything's going to be his undoing, it's going to be the fact that he's burnt up the best of those Hypersoft tyres. But also, don't discount the fact that Sebastian Job is on 5th and was only, was in 4/10 or just outside of 4/10 on a harder compound tyre. That really cannot be understated. So I'm keeping my eye. Well, I'm trying to keep my eye on everything, obviously, but Sebastian Job is the one I'm keeping my eye on, very, very keenly as well. Bearing in mind he will be starting on those ultra soft tyres.
Yeah, for sure. He might lose positions in the opening stages of the race. Certainly in the first 2 or 3 laps, I would say, is really where his tires are going to be at a disadvantage compared to the guys around him. There you can see the predicted pit stop strategy on your screen. If you're going on the ultras, you're going to stop somewhere between lap 11 and 14 thereabouts. And if you're starting on the super softs, you're going to be going until lap 18 or 21. So that doesn't take into account the hyper softs, though, interestingly enough. So we're going to have to see exactly how that works out for everybody. But this should be a really good one. I'm just hoping that the Chromatic doesn't run away with it. Sebastian Job could be on for an ever elusive overcut. Of course, ever since refueling was removed from F1, the undercut is usually the way to go. You get in 1 lap earlier than your competitor, you fit those fresh tires, and then you're going to be quicker than them, and you're going to end up being ahead of them once they come into the pits. But he could be on for an overcut potentially with that slightly harder tire compound. He can go that little bit further into the race, and I'm not sure. The worn Hypersofts or the worn Ultrasofts compared to a brand new set of Supersoft. We don't know what the pace difference is going to be. One thing I can tell you is Chromatic has reached the grid much, much earlier compared to everybody else. He's already found his grid slot. He's ready to get racing. So Chromatic, clearly, he's doing everything quick today. He's doing his qualifying lap quick. He's doing the formation lap quick. Maybe he'll do the race quick too.
Well, he's obviously starting as he means to go on. Oh, here's everybody else, just reminding us that we do have a race with 17 other cars in it. So, well, let us see how well Pro does on the potentially worn Hypers. Unsurprisingly, most people out at the top and go for the Super Soft. Never mind that, we've got the 5 lights. It is time to wind them up and let them go. Who's going to be the bravest? It was a pretty decent start from the Renault. Can't stop Steve before he has a chance to make a move. Coming into the first turn, we see, I think it's Hayes and Hayes Eagle that are having a go in turn 2. Everyone now streaming down towards the first twisty bus, side by side. That's I think that's Hayes Eagle and Hayes battling for third still. Job is held on to 5th position, fought off Hayes and Preisnader. On board with Sebastian Job. Then he's the lead of the Ultrasoft runners, hanging on to the back of Hayes pretty well. Raises the wall, but nothing too bad. You won't have lost too much from that. A lot of fighting throughout the field, as you would imagine. It looks like everyone broadly has made a decent start. Brownie at the tail of the field has lost a bit of pace. Marek is all the way down there in 17th. He's had a terrible start. So tragedy for him. But towards the front, it looks like everyone has made a good getaway so far.
Yeah, well spotted there on Merrick. He's actually already down into last position. I wonder if he's lost a bit of carbon fiber that would, or possibly a puncture. Those are the only sorts of things that would cause him to drop down like that as quickly as he did. So that's very unfortunate for him. Again, it is a very long race. It is a 50% distance race, just like we had yesterday on the PS4 platform. Chromatic setting the fastest lap. Oh, and there is some carbon fiber being shed from one of the cars. I actually missed it. The car was already by, so I'm not sure who that was, but we talked to 3 drivers yesterday, Chris, that all brought up actually losing bits of their front wing and talking about how much that damaged and hurt their race. And that's really not what you want. You don't want to be losing downforce right at the start of the race, as Amos Larito flirting with that barrier at the exit of turn 4. Gets very close to it, doesn't lose any of that though. Gets very, very close to the back of Mr. Anka, who is on the super soft tires. So he's the leading super soft runner in the Force India at the moment. Is he going to feel the need to go defensive into turn 8? We do have a side-by-side. No, not quite side-by-side into the turns 8-9 chicane. Does stay behind for the meantime, but he is looking much, much quicker, practically pushing that Force India through. Here we go into the braking zone. He's going to have to go around the outside of the turn 10 hairpin, and that's a difficult one to do. And he's going to not have the DRS, of course, because it is only lap 2. But look at this, Chris. Chromatic with almost 1 second gap. H-Eagle and Hayes going side by side in the background as well, too. The Williams is going to have the inside line into the final chicane. I'm not sure who's going to come out ahead on that one, but it looks like Hayes is going to stay ahead, back on board with Mr. Anka, who did lose that position to Amos Loreto coming out of that turn 10 hairpin. Chromatic again setting the fastest lap of the race as DRS is enabled now.
Indeed, and Chromatic almost managed to break that DRS gap to Steve. Hasn't quite managed to do it, but Steve's got no pressure from Hayes behind. Hayes has got a few people with him, H-Eagle and Prationator particularly. Then there's a bit of a gap to Surprise that he has Photon for company. There's a few gaps forming in the field, as you would imagine. There's, not everybody's on the same tire. Amos Lewis having a look on the inside of Samuel Lebert, doesn't quite get the move down. This is a bit of a train forming behind Sebastian Job. Again, as a reminder, Sebastian's on the harder tire here, so whilst he was looking to the inside, coming towards that turn 8-9 chicane, but he hasn't done a lot of kind of heavy defending, and I don't blame him at this stage. He knows there's going to be people around him on softer tyres, but of course he knows they're going to have a pit for him. So the tactics at this stage is going to really play an important part. He knows he's got a lot of people behind him, and he doesn't want to lose too much time trying to defend from a car that is going to be quicker than him at this stage. But even still, he doesn't want to make it too easy for them. He does defend that inside line. Oh, crikey, that was Sam Lebert having a look at the inside again. But, coming into that squad of champions doesn't make the move. Lots and lots of potential here, though. It does look like Sebastian Jobe's got his tyres up to temperature. Oh, he's gone deep into that first turn. Sam wasn't able to capitalise on it. On board again with Amos Larito as he is continuing to chase that 8th position. Sweeping through turns 3 and 4. Now through 5 into 6, 7, and Job is he's either just taking a different line or he wanted to defend that particular outside line heading towards that next chicane. Oh, is Sam Lebert going to get a drive on the inside heading towards 8 and 9? Oh, that's Amos Larito boxed in. He had nowhere to go. The Mercedes still side by side. He's going to force the Toro Rosso wide. Oh, both Toro Rossos getting a bit close together. Oh, and then here comes, that is CNS Tiger that is trying to make a move as well. Oh, we've lost Marek from the session. That's a shame. He's already had trouble, and his race seems to have come to an end by lap 4. What a great change for him. But that is Sam Lebert and Amos Larito through on Sebastian Job. But, don't discount Sebastian whatsoever. Right behind them, side by side, that's CNS Tiger and Garrick's getting involved. A lot of people daring the wall as well, playing chicken with the wall, I should say. CNS Daria and Sebastian Job still side by side heading towards that turn 1 again. So much battling going on. That's what we love to see.
Very surprised about Sebastian Job's pace right now, I have to be honest, because actually I noticed earlier, Chris, Photon is also on the Ultra Softs, and not only is he on the same tires as Sebastian Job, he's going the other direction. While Sebastian Job is dropping down the odor, Photon is moving up. We actually missed an overtake that he made on Velace Surprise not that long ago, but it is still very, very close in this battle for 10th position. Sebastian Job very much the cork in the champagne bottle. He's got Sienna Staya right behind him, Garrix as well just behind. Lamp already picking up a 3-second time penalty. I'd say this is about the time yesterday that we started seeing the 3-second time penalties. Again, it's a very, very difficult track to avoid that kind of thing. Here we go with Garrix, though, up the inside at the turn 10 hairpin. And whoa, wow, Fallen Hero takes advantage of Mr. Anka going deep into the corner. He's going to slip by, or was that Sienna Staya?
Yeah,
I think
Sienna Staya. He's down
yeah,
to 15.
so losing loads of positions there at a single corner. That's really got to hurt. He's still in keeping with this group, though, so he can still try and mount an attack back. Oh, that was some carbon fiber, if my eyes don't deceive me. I think Garrick's being caught off guard by Sebastian Job's breaking point, and Sienna Staya, unfortunately, retiring from the session. Oh, Garrick's was going to try and make a move on Sebastian Job. The two of them are side by side. Amos Larito defending from Samuel Bear as well, too. Garrick's and Job still side by side. Job with the inside line coming out of 2. He'll have the inside line going into 3, but it's a chicane. It's not just a right-hand turn. Can he keep with Garrick's? That's some very fair racing between the two of them. That's what you'll want to see. And Garrick's not able to make the move in the end on Sebastian Job, and that could make him fall victim to Fallen Hero just behind on the McLaren. Oh, lovely overhead shot there as we come onto the straight between turn 7 and 8. The McLaren, again, really harassing that Renault on the run down towards turn 8. This is just outside the points-paying position, so this isn't even for a points-paying position. But what this is for, Chris, of course, is these guys want to get into the qualifying range, which is in the top 10. 2 side-by-side moments between Garrix and Fallen Hero, Giglioli, and also Anka as well, too. And it looks like Giglioli is going to come out on top in that one. Fallen Hero as well is going to make the overtake. And it looks like Garrix might lose another position to Giglioli. He does indeed. The Sauber moving ahead. Now he's having to look at the McLaren. He's going to have the inside line into the final chicane. He's done it. An incredible series of overtakes for Gianfranco Giglioli to move up into 11th, and he's now just one place behind that all-important 10th position. So he's going to be really spurred on by that one. Oh, he goes very deep into the first corner, though. That's going to ruin his line for turn 2, but thankfully Fallen Hero, thankfully for his sake anyway, Fallen Hero not able to go around the outside. Again, turn 2, a very long corner. It's a difficult one to go around the outside of. Through the chicane they go. And Sebastian Job, for his sake, thankfully, now has a little bit of breathing room. It's not been a great opening 6 laps, though, for Sebastian Job, has it, Chris?
No, especially as you say, in comparison to Photon, who is really closing in actually on those ahead of him. Here's a replay between Larito and Sam Barrel. So that is that was a big move from Larito. Made it stick, nicely driven by both of them, and then right behind them you had that 3-way battle of Garrix, Job, and Fallen Hero as well. They were scrapping for 9th position, but that was a lovely move from Larito, really made it stick, and it was granted the necessary room from Lebert. Back live again, watching from Fallen Hero. That pack now spread out a little bit. Sebastian Job being granted a bit of the rest of the thing. Oh, again, that's very deep from Fallen Hero. Several people look on for, wow, Mr. Anka is in. He must have had damage because he's on the hardest tire and he's come in already, only on lap 8. So his race is rather undone. A few people have already had an argument with the wall. We saw Marek fall through the field. Lamp had gained damage at some point earlier in the race as well. So and there's another penalty for him. So yeah, his race is getting worse and worse and worse. But the top. Oh, go on.
That was Hayes. That was Hayes with a 3-second time penalty in 3rd position. Also, it looks like he's about to get overtaken by Preschnader as well. He does indeed. So a 3-second time penalty and a lost position. That's just kicking him while he's down.
Yeah, indeed. So here we've got a replay. What are we looking at here? That is Fallen Hero right in this mixture. That's when the pack was really, really heavily condensed. So Garrix, Fallen Hero, Mr. Anka, and Giglioli all in there. There's that double side-by-side that we really enjoyed coming into that hairpin. And Giglioli had an absolutely storming exit from here. This is where it all, that's where it really paid off for him. So he was on the outside of the Renault there, and then sweeps there on the other side of the McLaren. He timed that perfectly, gaining 2 positions on that back straight. Brilliantly done. And then Garrix went into the pits after then. So yeah, he's done a great job there. And that is all about patience and timing. Good positioning, yes, but he knew when he had to make the move. You know, they're aiming for top 10 minimum, and there's obviously been a big scrap for that final 10th spot. He just kept his cool, kept his calm, knew what he had to do and when he had to do it. So, yeah, great effort by him.
Yeah, Giglioli now up into the top 10. I mean, he went from 15th to 11th in a span of about 20 seconds. That was incredible stuff. That might have been worthy of driver of the day. Of course, you guys can let us know with the hashtag F1 Esports on Twitter, having a look at the replay. This was Preishnader and Hayes, so this was right after Hayes had picked up that penalty, and the two of them side by side coming out of that turn 11 hairpin, but the Red Bull just with the superior grip and traction coming out of that low speed corner does manage to move ahead. And I think he's got he picked up the DRS as well too, whereas the McLaren of Hayes didn't. So he didn't even really need to defend the position going into the final chicane. And of course he picked up the DRS again for the start finish straight. I believe it's the same detection. So yeah, a great move by the Red Bull to move up ahead. And now we do have some cars into the pits. Preishnader is into the pits, Hayes is into the pits, Surprise is into the pits, and Sam Lebert. So 4 cars into the pits at the end of lap 9. So that would leave them with 26 laps at the end of the race if they are indeed going for a one-stop strategy. And I would presume the one-stop strategy is optimal. It tends to be usually the fastest way around if you can manage your tires. So Gianfranco Giglioli now finds himself behind Sebastian Job. This is now for 6th position after those pit stops. Again, he was in 10th position just prior to those pit stops being made, but we're on board with Fallen Hero, who has actually kind of closed up. I think it was just over a second between himself and Giglioli, but he has closed that up now. He's right behind him. He's got Hayes just behind him, though. And Hayes is actually on a new set of tires. Yeah, he's not going to be wanting to hang around here. He had a look up at the inside into that hairpin. Couldn't quite be late enough onto the brakes to make anything happen there, but this is absolutely not what he wants. Hayes is going to be losing loads and loads of time in this traffic. There's just no way that these guys are going to be quicker than he is capable of going at this stage, and it looks like none of them are going to peel off into the pits. It's going to be that much harder for him to try and make the overtake on the Sauber, of course, because Giglioli is picking up the DRS off of Sebastian Job, and it seems that Sebastian Job is starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm now. Preishnader is in 5th position. I don't know if he just came out. And Garex now with the 3-second time penalty. That's unfortunate for the Renault driver who was heavily involved in those midfield battles. Oh, there goes Hayes through the chicane. He's going to try and jump up the inside into turn 6. He's just about done it. Oh, some contact between the two McLaren drivers. Again, these guys are not teammates. For those of you that are watching and might be new to F1 Esports, they are in no way actually teammates. They're not going to give each other a helping hand or anything like that. They are just as much there to race the other guy in that car as they are all the other cars out there. So that really doesn't mean much. But there we go. Now we can see the laps up there. So Photon, Amos Lorito, they have not been into the pit. Sebastian Job and Gianfranco Giglioli. So Chromatic still leads the way, but he's got Steve now within 1 second, Chris. So after the pit stop phase, it looks like the battle for the lead could be heating up.
How the hell Crow made those hypers last as long as he did, I am stunned. And he's hung on to the lead. There goes Sebastian Job into the pit. So right when we thought the Ultrasofts were going to start giving up, Chromatic nearly made his hypersoft last that long. So that's absolutely amazing. But keeping an eye on this battle, this Giglioli having to defend from Hayes. Fallen Hero almost getting a wheel alongside. Well, I'd say his fellow McLaren, they may well be orange, but as mentioned, they are not teammates. They can't just punt each other off. They will get penalties, post-race penalties if they start doing things like that. So they do have to be careful on their driving contact. But look at this. This is another penalty for Lamp, who's at this race, he's going to be kind of pushed down to tomorrow's race. And there is a move from Hayes on Giglioli. That's for 6th. He's made it stick. This will be when the super soft, and bearing in mind that's fresh super soft for Hayes as well. So he's not long been through the pits. I think a couple of laps ago. Excellent effort from Hayes. Giglioli and the Fallen Hero having a fight into the hairpin. Photon has come into the pits. Hayes is doing a brilliant job. He's got a bit of a gap between himself and Preishnader, but at that kind of pace, you never. Oh, Steve! That's gonna. Well, that won't drop him down position, but that will hurt his bid for the top spot. As where will Photon reappear? Should reappear about in 5th position, assumedly on super soft tyres. Oh, Hayes has gone past him. So, actually, Hayes and Photon having their own battle. We are looking at Brownie. So I was keen to see how he was going to do. He's actually chasing Lamp at the moment. Jumps out from the slipstream. Whoa. That was a little bit late on that one, Mr. Brownie. That was a fast track to the wall if he got into that. But he's then gone for the exit from that last chicane. Dives on the inside of turn 1. That's become a bit of a standard move. as the Mercedes of Lamp continues to limp its way around. He's been having a bit of a disaster, I think it's fair to say. Here is H-Eagle and Fallen Heroes side by side as they come through that 8-9 chicane on the way down to the hairpin. H-Eagle has made that one stick. Fallen Heroes tyres are feeling very second-hand now. They are the Ultra Softs he started on, so expect him to be getting rid of them pretty soon. But this battle for, well, it's very much midfield, but it does go down to 10th, so he does become a bit of a danger for the back of the train. Amos Larita now getting rid of his Ultra Soft tyres, so there's still plenty of action awaiting us as we head to the second half of the race.
Yeah, closing in on 50% distance on this 50% race. And again, we're on board with H-Eagle, who is closing up to the back of Giglioli. He is on much fresher tires compared to the Alfa Romeo Sauber. And I would imagine is much quicker. Oh, Sebastian, 3 seconds time penalty. That is unfortunate. He's outside the top 10 as it stands right now, and not a ton of people still to make pits. So Sebastian Job still with a big job ahead of him, still to go. Valache Surprise currently sitting in 8th position. I believe we actually missed him making an overtake on Amos Larito. Oh, no, I think it was actually on Fallen Hero who ended up going into the pits. So Valache Surprise now into 8th position, running very close to the back of H-Eagle, with Amos Larito not that far behind either. He is definitely in a sandwich. Oh, and H-Eagle actually is going to try to round the outside into the turn 12 hairpin. That's going to be a difficult one to pull off, but if he can get a good enough speed, he'll have the DRS, of course, off of the Sauber ahead of him, and he should be able to just kind of sail right past. Yeah, it's about car length and a half or thereabouts, maybe a little more than that between the two of them, but he does have the DRS open. We're on board with Surprise, who has a front row seat for this incredible side-by-side moment into the final chicane. Gianfranco holds on to that position. I tell you, I would not have expected that one. I thought H-Eagle was going to have the straight line speed, the traction he needed out of that low-speed turn 10 hairpin in order to get that move done, but in the end, he just couldn't. Steve, you have to say, is decidedly closer to the Renault than he has been at pretty much any point in this race. Worth keeping in mind that he does have a 3-second time penalty, which as it stands right now would drop him down into 3rd position behind Preschnader. It seems that the Red Bull is starting to close in on this battle, actually. But Steve is pushing hard. They've actually got traffic up ahead. I'm not sure which car that is ahead of them. Oh, that's Merrick ahead of them. So he is still in his car. He should get nicely out of their way. Nope, I'm sorry, he's ghosted. So they will be able to get past him relatively quickly. I don't know if that's going to give any sort of DRS, though, to Chromatic. I'm sure he would love a little bit of DRS at this moment. It doesn't look like that wing is open. Samuel Lebert now becomes the next driver to pick up a 3-second time penalty. That would put him behind Garrix, if not for the fact that Garrix also has a 3-second time penalty, if memory serves me correct. So Lebert's not going to lose any positions as a result of that, but it's just going to make his life that much harder. He's got to be even more cautious about what he does with the corners, and be careful not to extend or cut any of the corners whatsoever. Speaking of corners that you can cut, this one right here at turn 3, it's an easy one where you just turn in that little bit too early, and you can easily pick up a warning there through turn 5 into turn 6. And Steve's dropped back now a couple of tenths, it seems. Oh, as Surprise and Larito are now debating 8th position. It seems that Surprise got that position back because he was ahead of Amos Larito last time I checked. So Amos must have snuck ahead of him. He does have much fresher tires compared to the Force India of Valache Surprise, so that could be paying dividends for him. Gianfranco Giglioli still out there on his set of Supersoft. We would expect him to go, well, maybe 3 to 5 more laps, something like that, Chris, I think. Oh, as the Force India of Surprise up the inside of Giglioli at turn 8. Again, a corner that I referred to as not an overtaking location. We've seen about 5 of them so far this week, making me look like a real dummy, but Surprise with a bit of a lockup, but I don't think he's going to lose out to Giglioli again, who is on very, very old Supersofts at this point.
He is indeed, but he's not willing to let anybody go, is he? He is fighting for every bit of track position, which could kind of undo itself as the race goes on. Is he going to come in? No, he's looking to press on. He's pushing his luck a little bit, but he does have a bit of a gap down to Sam Lebert, not a pit stop's worth. He's going to be costly, and again, you saw the Sauber lock up coming into that first turn, so I'm surprised he hasn't come in yet, but these guys know what they're doing. It wouldn't be the first time I've made a pit strategy call wrong. So we'll see how well he's able to do. But look at the time he's lost to Surprise. Surprise has been through the pits, as we know. And there we go. That's what I thought was going to happen. Angus was sizing up that big move coming into that turn 6 left-hander. He knew where the Sandwell was going to struggle, and bang, nailed him before they got to the apex. Very nicely done. But look at that. That's almost DRS broken already, and that's just 3 corners. Yeah, I think Giglio's left it a bit too long to get shot at those tyres. Surely he's going to be in this time to get rid of them. But still, there's lots going on. There's still lots that can happen. We've seen, we saw a few accidents yesterday. We've lost a couple from this race already. So we'll see. And that's Mr. Anker under pressure from Sebastian Joh. Now, Sebastian is on much fresher tyres, albeit a harder compound that, he wants to see these through to the end. Now, I think that the Force India is going to struggle a bit. Well, there you go. Just as I say, he's going to struggle to keep Sebastian behind him. And, wow, he absolutely left him for dead. Sebastian's got some time to make up before he starts to pressure Gerrits. Now, as mentioned, Gerrits does have that penalty. But even ignoring that, Sebastian's got another, what's he got? About 10 seconds-ish to close down before he gets into that crucial top 10. So he's going to have to hope. And I think Sebastian's got a penalty as well. So he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I believe, so he's got Giglioli that still needs to come in, and I think Garrex needs to come in as well, too, because Garrex stopped, 10 laps ago for a set of Ultrasofts. We don't have that graphic up at the moment, but we'll keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I think Garrex and Giglioli both need to come in, so I think Sebastian Joh is actually effectively in 10th position as it stands right now once you factor in those 2 pit stops, because there's a couple of, like Mr. Anka, for example, he's on the Ultrasofts right now as well, too. There's no way he's going to, oh gosh, we have a battle for the lead, though. Steve looking up the inside into turn 1. Can he make it around the outside into turn 2? The Renault defends very fiercely. Chromatic holds on to that position. Again, Steve with the 3-second time penalty, so he really needs to make his way past the Renault and then pull a gap if he wants to win this race. The most important thing, of course, is just finishing in the top 10, progressing into the next round after this qualifying race. Chromatic missing his apex there. Didn't even touch the inside curbing as he turned in for turn 6, but he's not going to lose a heap of time to the Williams behind him. But Steve really, really going aggressive there, trying to make the move into turn 2. Brownie now next to pick up a 3-second time penalty. He's way down at the back. That shouldn't make too much of a difference to his race. But yeah, the likes of Mr. Anka, I think Garrex as well too, and Gianfranco Giglioli, these guys still have pit stops to make. There you can see it there. Ultrasoft, 12 laps for Garrex. He is not going to be able to do another 16 laps on a set of Ultrasofts. He's got to come in. That's going to move Job up into 11. And then Giglioli, he's got to come in a couple of laps too as well. And it was that Chromatic lagging into 2nd place. That would be truly unfortunate for the Renault driver if indeed that was just a lag moment for him. But it seems that Steve has been able to just literally drive right through his competitor up into the lead of this race. Again, he has a 3-second time penalty. Chromatic does not, and that could be a huge difference. Also worth pointing out, I think, Chris, Preschnader, who was just about within 3 seconds of this leading battle, has started to fall back. It's now over 4 seconds down to Preschnader in 3rd.
He does, and Preschnader doesn't have pressure from his fellow racer Photon. As a fellow racer, I don't want to use the phrase teammate, not really teammates, as Steve bounces off the wall, coming down towards... Chromat, he's getting very, very close. It was indeed a lag moment for the Renault that enabled Steve to drive right through him. I'm sure it was a surprise for both of them. When that actually took place into the hairpin. Big lockup for the Williams, though. And you saw Crow was able to get much tighter to that hairpin. As we've lost Mr. Anker from 13th position. A shame for the Force India, but he is gone. That will bring it into his particular title bit. Oh, Sam Lopez had trouble. He suddenly dropped a couple of positions, or he's in the middle of a battle for a couple of positions, I should say. So still the lead battle continues. Crow will know he doesn't have to do anything kind of major, just needs to stay within that 3-second penalty if he's asked his engineer if the Hayes adding 3 seconds to his time. That won't out of 5th yet, but if he adds to that, he could well be in trouble. Still plenty of racing to do. Steve beginning to stretch his legs up front now ahead of Chromatic. It does look like the Mercedes has had the pace over the Renault as he's brought his car in 19 laps on the Supersoft. I'm not surprised. I'm expecting a set of Ultras on his car. So we'll see how that pays off for him. That was indeed a set of Ultrasoft for Giglioli, and they continue to press on. We'll see what Steve has in store for defending the lead.
Giglioli is going to be absolutely rapid on that new set of Ultra Soft. So even though he is down into 15th, now 14th actually, as he debates that position with Brownie, but does manage to get ahead, he's going to be absolutely flying. Not only is he on a set of tires that are about 10 laps newer than almost everybody else out on the track, but it is also one step softer as well as the leading duo make their way through. Yeah, just brushing that wall of champions once again is Steve, but Chromatic not able to make anything happen there. Practically nothing between the two of them, just a couple of car lengths, less than a car length, as they make their way through the very slow right-hander of turn 2. The back end just stepping out on that Renault, as of course these tires get older and older, they'll become more and more difficult to work with. But lap 22, so we've got 13 and a bit laps still to go here in Canada for the PC side of the F1 New Balance Esports Series 2019 qualifying rounds, on board with Chromatic, who was the pole sitter. Sebastian Job picking up another 3-second time penalty. He does move ahead of Garrix, as I mentioned earlier, Chris. He was not on a set of tires that was going to make it to the end, so the other Renault pulls off into the pits, and he's going to hit what you would assume is his last set of tires, as Amos Larito now becomes the next to pick up a 3-second time penalty. That wouldn't drop him behind Samuel Lebert, though, so he's safe in 8th. And indeed, actually, it seems, other than this battle for the lead that we have going on, there is also a battle developing for 6th position. H Eagle currently leading the way with Veloce Surprise within DRS range. Amos Larito also within DRS, and Chromatic comes into the pits. That is very interesting. He's switching to a 2-stop strategy. Is he going to go onto the Ultra Softs? He is going to drop right down the order, but clearly he felt like those tires just were not going to last. Here is that battle that I was mentioning earlier for 6th position. Oh, and H Eagle picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's going to drop him behind both Surprise and Larito, as Chromatic also drops behind these guys. He's down into 8th position. I don't think he's going to drop behind Samuel Lebert, so I think he is going to come out in 8th position. And he does fit a new set of Ultra Soft tires, which will have to do a 13-lap stint, as he pitted at the end of lap 22 in this 35-lap race. So he's going to have to do a 13-lap stint on a set of Ultra Softs, which is, of course, 1 lap less, or is it 2 laps? It's 1 or 2, yeah, 2 laps less than Gianfranco Giglioli. So he should absolutely be safe with that. And again, he is going to be very, very quick on that set of tires, but surely that's got to be his chance at winning the race gone.
Well, you would think so, but then look at the life of the Super Softs. A lot of them, well, everyone except for Amos ahead of him have done well over 10 laps on their tyres. Are they really going to see to the end with what we've seen already? We will see. Crow's playing it safe. He's not wanting to risk falling outside of the top 10. I'm sure he would willingly sacrifice the win to guarantee his spot into the actual Pro Draft itself. He got the pole very convincingly. He's led for quite a bit of the race. He's already kind of made a bit of a benchmark for himself.
At this point.
Exactly. Oh, Preisnader won't hurt you at the moment, but it might do later. Now, we've said this a bit last year as well, where drivers, and even at this stage, are kind of creating a bit of a name for themselves. They want to be noticed. They'll get through the Pro Draft, those in the top 10 will get through the Pro Draft. But they need to kind of give prove their worth to those that are going to be making those all important choices. And this is the all part of the stage, all part of the platform that they can prove themselves on. But they don't want to be seen as a reckless driver. Yeah, they may be quick, but if they're hitting the wall every 5 corners, they're no good to anybody. Speaking of Crow, he's nearly on the back of this pack already. He may well have thought about sacrificing the win, but he looks like he's absolutely flying as he's now catching this particular pack. But this is what he's going for. He's now on Ultras, as we can see. Everyone ahead of him is on quite warm Super Softs, so harder compound and not a lot of them left. So he should be pretty rapid compared to everybody else. However, he is risking having to make moves. Well, I say having to, he could stay where he is, but well, fastest lap, there you go. He's clearly not wanting to stay where he is. He wants that. You saw in that statement he made, he's gunning for the win. Got 11 laps to close down, rough 15, 20 seconds or so. It's doable, but he's got to really cut his way through the field. However, if he does it, what a name for himself that he's made.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. Yeah, if he does actually manage to even really get into the top 3. Oh, as he just swoops right around the outside of Amos Larito like he was standing still That was absolutely incredible. We were on board with the front wing of the Toro Rosso, so we had no idea that was coming. And it just surprise, here he is, and he's running very, very close to the back of Surprise already as well too. Surprise is again one of the drivers I know very well in this race, and I know for a fact that he's probably not going to fight that. He knows. He knows that Chromatic was on pole. He knows how fast Chromatic was, how fast he is at this stage after fitting that new set of tires. Oh, and Surprise has now picked up a 3-second time penalty as well, too. Here we go with the Renault up the inside. Again, like the car was standing still, Chromatic is exactly as you were saying, Chris. He is scything his way through this like a hot knife through butter. And yep, he's also picked up a time penalty as well. So he's got H Eagle up next. Should be pretty easy for him. He could even take him here into turn 6. He's going to go wide through turn 5. No, he's not able to quite do it there. Will he do it at the same place where he made the move on Amos Larito just one lap ago? He needs a really good exit coming out of turn 6. He's picked up the slipstream. He's got the inside line for turn 8, and I think he's just going to breeze right on by the Williams. He does indeed. Gets into the braking zone, already past the Williams, up into 5th position with that 3-second time penalty, but now finds himself only 4 seconds adrift of Hayes, and still with 9 laps, just over 9 laps of racing still to go. Oh, there goes Valache Surprise up the inside of H Eagle, but the outside line is better for the exit of that corner, so I think H Eagle is going to hold on for the moment. Is he going to pick up the DRS off of Chromatic? Yes, he does. So that's going to be very helpful for him in his quest to try and defend from the Force India. Valache Surprise behind. He defends the inside line into that final chicane. No move happening there. He does stay behind for the meantime. Valache Surprise thinks better of it. Gets the DRS open once again. Amos Larito really closing up to the back of Surprise. He's going to have to go defensive into turn 1. But it's very difficult to go around the outside, and he very firmly closes the door into turn 2. So he let him go around the outside into turn 1, but he wasn't about to let that happen in turn 2. So Valache Surprise holds on to that 7th place position, again picking up that penalty last lap. That's very unfortunate for the Force India driver. But we've got just over 8 laps still to go. Steve currently holds about a 4-second lead over Preissnader. He's got a 3-second time penalty, but so does Preissnader. I haven't seen much of Photon. I have to say he's kind of been the anonymous one in this race. We haven't seen a ton of stuff from Photon. He's at the moment in 3rd position, kind of quietly going about his business, and he's got a 4-second gap down to Hayes behind him, a 7-second gap up to Preissnader ahead into the DRS zone as we come out of the hairpin once again. And Amos Larito losing out big time. He's definitely not going to be a threat to Valache Surprise this particular time. Is actually, as Photon makes his way past a back marker, that was Mr. Anka. He's just about squeezed his way past him. I don't know, he might have picked up the DRS there as Chromatic now into the 109s. That's probably quicker than I could do in quali trim, Dan. Or Chris.
Yeah, well, I've been
almost called you Dan.
That move we just saw there, Photon on that Force India there, that very much reminded me of Perez Massa a few years ago, and I'm sure I don't need to remind you.
No, you don't.
Wow, so Crow is already now on the back of Hayes. Never mind, he's already gone past Hayes. He's opened up 4.5 seconds on H Eagle, and that pack in
amazing
1 lap. He is, never mind the safety game. He ditched the super soft to get to do very much exactly what we're seeing now. He was a fairly conservative move, I would think, to switch tires to the softer ones. Lighter car, and he knew he had a decent distance to run, but my goodness, he is absolutely flying. That's a non-existent Mr. Anka now, as sadly we lost him a while ago. But, well, you can't blame Crow for determination. He is absolutely, but he's got to do the moves on track, with the exception of Photon. Exactly as you said, he's just been a name on the name in the list for so long, and I would imagine he needs reminding. There's actually another car actually on field. He's been very much on his own for a very long time. He's going to get a very blunt reminder in a minute with this charging Renault. Also, we're in the final 6-7 laps now, so it's not likely anyone else is going to come in. So everyone ahead of him is going to have to really conserve their tyres. Crow is not going to have to do that, so he can just press on like a lunatic, or he is, but he can just absolutely flat out quali lap until either he runs into the wall or runs out of the lap.
Yeah, we criticized his strategy call there, and he is making us look foolish without a doubt as we rejoin Surprise and Amos Larito and H Eagle. this three-way battle for what is now 6th position. Amos Lorito has fallen well outside the DRS range, almost 1.5 seconds adrift of the Force India Veloce Surprise at this stage as they make their way towards the end of lap 29. 6 laps to go for these guys. They're not quite on lap 30 just yet, but they will be very shortly. H-Eagle, though, doing a great job, I have to say, actually, of holding on to that position. It's not been an easy day for H-Eagle, has he? He's had a lot of battling, a lot of defending, a lot of looking in his rearview mirrors, which is never fun as a racing driver if you're having to worry about the car behind. Veloce Surprise doing a fantastic time though at the moment. Look at Chromatic's gap though at the top left of the screen. 1.7 seconds now between himself and the Red Bull ahead of him. He's gaining about 1.5 seconds per lap on Photon, who again has been a bit of a excuse me, a bit of a mystery man in this race. He's been doing very well. He just hasn't been battling people, so we haven't exactly seen a lot of him on the TV cameras. But we continue with this battle for 6th position. Veloce Surprise about 6/10 adrift of the Williams ahead of him. He's going to be making his way into the hairpin now. This is, of course, one of the better opportunities to make an overtake into the final chicane, or to set yourself up through the final chicane and make the overtake into turn 1. We've seen Surprise defending a position into turn 1. Will we see him make an overtake into turn 1? He's definitely not going to be making the overtake on this occasion into the final chicane. He's quite a ways back. We go on board with Chromatic, who has gotten within that 1 second DRS range on the Red Bull of Photon, and he's still got about 5 laps of this race still to go. This is incredible stuff. You can see the back end stepping. He is right on the limit with this car. And I mean, he would have been leading the race if not for that lag moment that he had earlier. He's driven pretty much perfectly, hasn't he, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. And now he's, with the exception of Photon, he's got the same penalties that Race and Steve do. And I think it's fair to say that Photon's going to be a bit of a sitting duck. And there he goes again. Another move on the inside of that turn 8 chicane. And yet again, he's got it done before the braking zone. So he's confidence in your car. All right, good grief. He's really piling it on. I think he's, even at 1.5 seconds a lap, he's not going to quite get back up to the lead. It's a shame he's carrying that penalty. That's pretty much what's going to rule him out of the win. But wow, you want to talk about stamping your authority, as I mentioned earlier. You want to make a name for yourself. What a name he's making for himself. These aren't slow drivers. You know, if he was competing against rookies, then yeah, you'd expect him to be carving his way through the field like this. So he's doing brilliantly well. Also bear in mind, the next person down the road that's done a 2-stop strategy is the fellow Renault of Gerrits, and he's in 12th. So Crow has played the strategy brilliant.
I've also just noticed, actually, we could be on for a battle. And Photon has picked up a 3-second time penalty. That's not going to drop him behind Hayes, but that's unfortunate for the Red Bull driver. But yeah, I've noticed as well, Garrix is closing up to the back of Gianfranco Giglioli, and Gianfranco's about 2 seconds adrift to Sebastian Job, so we could potentially have a 3-way battle developing in the makings here as we get to the end of this race. If these guys start to catch up to the back of Sebastian Job, his 10th place position, that all-important 10th place position, could really be under threat. Sebastian Job does have a 3-second time penalty, though. Garrix has a 3-second time penalty. I don't remember if Gianfranco has a penalty at all. I don't think he has, though. I don't remember seeing his name come up. But yeah, this could be a very important battle because, again, Sebastian Job is sitting on that all-important position of 10th place. He's 6.5 seconds adrift of Samuel Lebert, so he really has no chance of moving up any further in this race. But really, he is going to have to worry. And now look at that, 1.5 seconds between Sebastian Job and Gianfranco Giglioli as they make their way down towards the end of lap 32. So they're going to have just 3 laps still to go. 1.5 seconds between the two of them. Garrix is clearly very, very quick on that 2-stop strategy. He's really harassing the back of that Alfa Romeo as they make their way through the chicane. The Alfa Romeo moves defensive to the left-hand side of the circuit. The Renault's going to have to go around the outside at turn 1. If he could do it, he'll get the inside for turn 2, though, and he's done it. Beautiful stuff from the Renault driver. Moves himself up into 11th, and that is very worrying for Sebastian Job. I wasn't sure if Gianfranco was going to be able to get past Sebastian Job, but now that Garrix has cleared Giglioli, I think Job is in a lot of trouble here.
I think he is. I've got a feeling Sebastian's actually carrying 6 seconds of penalties. He's done 2 penalties, I think. I
think you're right, actually.
So yeah, he looks like he's got no pace left to deploy. Certainly not against the Renaults. Wow, aren't the Renaults really coming alive? Both of them, indeed. So yeah, Garrick's doing exactly what he needs to do and potentially dragging Iglioli with him. So they'll be ecstatic if they're able to get within inside the top 10. They haven't had the plainest of races for themselves either. So, great effort for them. But let's see how the final 2 laps unfurls. And keeping an eye up front as well, as Bracenader, I think it's closed in a little bit on the Steve. Never mind that. There goes Giglioli on Garrix. Garrix knew that one was done. It's it was a common DRS overtaking spot, that back straight. Garrix didn't fancy trying to make a unnecessarily dangerous move. Again, thinking, he's thinking the strategy here. He knows that he knew the Sauber was going to come past him, so why make a dangerous, unnecessary defend? We can simply follow him and still potentially get within that top 10. It's all down to the strategy. We don't know what strategy they're playing. We don't know what there's going through their mind, but I would imagine it's what Garrix is thinking of. Otherwise, he would have defended like a nutter, trying to keep Giglioli behind him. If they were scrapping for that 10th position, I'd imagine the Renault would have defended for everything he's worth. But again, just trying to think, play this sensible game. Good on you.
Yeah, really respectful driving, which everybody likes to see. Let's move back on board with that battle for 6th position. Veloce Surprise has been staring at the back of that Williams for quite some time now. He makes a little bit of contact with both of his right-hand wheels on that barrier. He gets a great exit out of that final chicane. He's going to get the inside line as well for turn 1. And I believe that is move completed for Veloce Surprise. Moves himself up into 6th position as we start the final lap of this race. And that's going to be, I'm sure he's going to be very glad about that one. If I remember correctly, that's actually where he started the race. So it's been a very eventful sort of up and down thing for Veloce Surprise. Oh, Fallen Hero picks up a penalty. He's outside the top 10 anyway, so that shouldn't hurt him too much. But I think Veloce Surprise dropped down quite a bit during the race and then sort of moved his way back up. That does now find himself in 7th with H-Eagle right behind him, though. Again, this is the final lap. Will we see the Williams make a dive bomb into the hairpin? I don't think so. It's about 5/10 between them as they make their way out of turn 9. Brownie with the 3-second time penalty. And there is Steve. He's going to be the first to cross the line in the Williams. He made that one-stop work. He didn't need to come in again like Chromatic did. He does have that 3-second time penalty, but of course, Bracenader does as well. The Red Bull finds the checkered flag, as does Chromatic. It's not going to be enough for him. 3.4 seconds adrift of the Red Bull of Bracenader. Photon is going to hold on to that 4th place position. I believe Hayes is in a similar sort of situation as Surprise when it comes to penalties, but we rejoin this battle for 10th position. Sebastian Job is under heavy pressure from Giglioli on the run down towards the final chicane. The Toro Rosso holds the inside line, but the Alfa Romeo much later onto the brakes takes the position even before turning in for the corner, and Garrix picks up another 3-second time penalty. That might be what decides the, it's so close. Oh, no, I think I was right. And Giglioli actually did not have any penalties whatsoever. So a very hard-fought, very well-deserved 10th position for Gianfranco Giglioli. But again, I know Sebastian Job. I've been covering his racing antics for years and years and years now. And I tell you, I feel for him. Now, we do have to wait for final adjudication in case there's any additional penalties that need to be handed out to any of the drivers. But you really got to feel for Sebastian Job there. He was right there. It was so close he could taste it.
Indeed, but as is often the case, a lot of the times it comes down to penalties. It comes down to just those 1 or 2 mistakes that can just deny you the all-important results. So there is Steve taking the top spots. Bracenader 2 and Crow rounding out the podium. These three have fought for track position many times over, and here they are, well played to all of them, particularly Crow. But let's also not forget, Bracenader finished 5 positions up from where he started. He started down in 7th. So a great effort for him. The Crow, brilliant recovery drive there. Steve, nice and consistent. And there you go. There confirms the finishing results. Actually, the only person without a penalty was actually Giglioli there. So Steve is your winner this time out. Bracenader 2, Chromatic 3, Photon 4, Surprise 5, Hayes 6, Eagle 7th, Amos Larito 8, Stamina Bear 9, and Giglioli rounds out the all-important top 10. Those just missing out were Sebastian Job, Garrix, Fallen Hero, Brownie, Lamb, and those that didn't see the flag were Mr. Anka, Marek, and Sienna Staza.
At least we didn't have to say his name for too much longer in the race because we were struggling with Sienna Staya. But Of course, again, we like to see everybody as far up as we possibly can. We'd like to see the whole field within 30 seconds as they cross the line. That's exactly what we'd like to see as spectators, as viewers, as fans of sim racing and F1 esports as a whole. Because of course, Chris and I are just huge fans of F1 esports above all else, which is why we love doing what we do so much. But again, huge congratulations to Steve